All right, podcast time. The heck is that? A hat? Cool. Now that I think about it, it does get kind of cold in here. Maybe I should wear it. Where'd the hat go? Guess it'll turn up somewhere. Alright, we skipped a week because, well, me and Will were gone. But,
Yeah.
Down
back
with the
for
sickness.
back for
The
week
chimmy
9.
The chimichangers.
Shush. I swear it was that McDonald's, dude. And I ate it the day before the news came out about, like, the bacteria and stuff being in the food. And yeah, there's no
Yeah.
coincidence there.
Yeah, definitely not.
But,
Who's ate the poison potato from Minecraft?
no. God. Alright, let's go over a couple things from this past week. There's not really a whole lot to mention from the week before. This past week, one of the big things, Jameis Winston getting his first start for the Browns and beating the Ravens.
Yes.
Congrats.
Deshaun Watson was the problem. Deshaun Watson
yeah.
was the problem.
Of course.
There's no
That
doubt
was
about
never.
it.
That was not up for debate ever. Of course it was.
Yeah, Jameis Winston balled out. That's probably the best I've seen him play ever. It's like he really did ball out with the Browns, and I couldn't be happier for him. You know, I had a lot of doubts for him, as y'all know, I'm not his biggest supporter, but yeah, I had a lot of doubts for him, but he played really well. So I'm like, my hat's tipped off for him. So good job, Jameis.
Yeah, it's surprising what a change at quarterback can do. Next up from this past week, the Lions absolutely mud stomping the Titans, 52-14.
How was that news?
It's not
We knew
news.
that
It's
was
just
happening.
it's just something of significance because the Titans are actual garbage.
On top of that, the Lions seem to have fully waken up after that kind of like sluggish offensive start to the season. They have just pulled all cylinders out since then. It's like they're shooting fireworks.
Part of why I wanted to
right, and
mention
nobody
this
can stop 'em.
game is because of something that Will knows all too much about. Will, what were Goff's stats during this game?
Oh yeah, let me tell you. As I started him in fantasy, at one point, this man was like 9 for 12 for 28 yards and 3 touchdowns. Please explain how you're supposed to be an elite quarterback and you go 9 for 12, 28 yards, and 3 touchdowns in a game. I don't understand.
What did he
I'm so
finish the game
confused.
with?
Atrocious. I don't even remember.
I
Wait,
think
I
he
don't even
finished for
think-
like. I think he finished for like 86. Yeah, he finished for 86 yards.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
like,
yet
what-
they still
like, that's terrible.
just murdered the Titans.
I guess their run game was elite. Oh wait, they did have that trick play by their running back.
Yeah, where they tossed it to Montgomery
Yeah.
and Montgomery threw the touchdown pass to, it was Laporta, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that was a factor. So it's like they were doing just about anything, and Jared Goff just sat there and just did not much. But he didn't really have to because the Titans stink. So
Yeah. Another thing to mention that was noteworthy from this past week was the Thursday night game and the way things ended there with something that should have been called but just wasn't, where I believe Darnold got grabbed by the face mask on what resulted in a safety, and his head nearly turned 180, yet the ref staring at him just didn't throw the flag.
I don't know what the refs were looking at the time, because they were clearly a couple refs dead set looking at the play as Darnold's helmet is going that direction. And I saw on the NFL website they were talking about that to that team of refs, saying what were you guys seeing out there? They said they discussed it and they decided it wasn't worth flag at the time. I'm like, what? What? That's clearly a face mask. Like, how can you just discuss it, the possibility of throwing a flag, but overall you decide not to? I don't get that. But as a Saints fan, we all kind of know how that feels. You know what I mean? Jose, what the hell are you looking at?
Don't worry about it. I thought I heard something.
Oh. So, but yeah, like us Saints fans sadly know a thing or two about no call was happening in a certain time that I'm not gonna mention.
We're beyond that. Leave it in the past.
So, anyway,
not a
on.
whole lot really noteworthy from the rest of the games. The only other thing I want to mention from this past week. Oh wait, you got something, don't you?
Yes. I want to pinpoint to the Giants Steelers game real quick. That game wasn't a whole lot happening, but I think everybody knows what I'm about to talk about here. What was that 2-point conversion play by the Giants?
Yeah, the one that their head coach said is one that they have practiced the most.
I don't think they.
If that is what you spent your time practicing, then I think y'all need to shut down the franchise at this point.
Yeah. So what happened was they were on a 2-point conversion after they scored a touchdown. You had most of their linemen on one end of the field, and only like 2, I believe, to hike the ball to Daniels. Daniel Jones was supposed to throw it to Malik Neighbors or whoever was catching the ball, and the line was supposed to block.
The
but
lineman
they did
just
absolutely
didn't.
nothing.
I don't know who it was, but that man ran straight through and got to the receiver before the ball ever got near him. That play was blown up immediately.
I just don't know what their thought process was with that. That was the second worst call I've seen from an NFL game. The first one being the Colts and Patriots playoff game, if we all remember that one.
Moving on to the other stuff, though. The Bears and Commanders game, it was amazing to watch. Jaden Daniels is him. That's all I have to say on the subject.
Like the Bears had an opportunity to just win the game by basically with the field goal and also holding them down on the last drive of the game. Jaden Daniels just chunks a Hail Mary, hope and a prayer. It looks like it's about to get bounced away. But nope. The Bears defenders bounce it backwards
into the end zone.
Into the end zone to a wide open Commanders play. I don't know who the name was.
Noah Brown.
Yeah, it was Noah Brown.
Oh, Noah Brown. Thank you. Yeah, like talk about the wildest Hail Mary attempt to win a game. That's just like that sucks for Bears fans, but that is quite an elite pass for Jaden Daniels. Let's put it. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
it was crazy to watch in real time.
Yeah, because we were like mid-conversation.
Yeah.
When it happened.
Let's not pretend like the Commanders won that game, though. The Bears lost that game.
Yeah. The Bears,
100%.
The Bears did some very questionable things in that. Granted, though, when it comes to like the stats, like comparing these two quarterbacks, as so many people do, I think Jaden's got him beat.
Mm-hmm. And you know what's the funniest part about that play is that I saw this on Twitter. Somebody had recorded the final play, and there's this Bears cornerback. I don't know who he is. He's like waving at the crowd.
He's not paying attention, and he is the one who knocked it into the end zone.
Yep. And
he was really celebrating like the game was over.
Yeah, and Bears fans in the same footage were saying, "Turn around, turn around." He finally turns around and you know, history says it all right there. But it's like, oh god, he must feel sick to his stomach after that.
Yeah,
That's why you play the game till the game ends in triple zeros.
yeah. That was a very, very rough night for the Bears. So
Mhm.
many of them. I've seen so many clips on social media the past couple days of just Bears fans celebrating like they won that game when there was still time on the clock. And as soon as the Hail Mary happens, they just fall to pieces. Like,
Yeah.
don't celebrate till it's over.
Mm-hmm. Game ain't over till the clock hits zeros.
Yeah, but I don't think it's even really close in my opinion on who Rookie of the Year should be after the stuff we've seen so far. But there is one other thing we should mention before we move on to this upcoming week. Colts Texans. Good lord, what a game! But Anthony Richardson. Ugh.
Yeah, I have to say I'm extremely disappointed in Anthony Richardson. It's like not only did you like play terrible, but you took yourself out of the game because you're tired. That tells me you have poor leadership skills, and on top of that, you're just a poor teammate in general. It's like how do you take yourself out of a really close game just because you're tired? Like I have never in my entire life have seen an NFL player just take themselves out of the game just because they're exhausted. Do you think you think the rest of your teammates are exhausted too? Like, do you not care about them? You only care about yourself? That's just being selfish, in my opinion. Like, that's just that's just wild.
For me, it's not even that. Like, yeah, it's not a great look, but for me, it's the fact that he went 10 of 32. At one
Yeah,
point, he was
that is also
like,
true.
if I remember correctly, Will, we were watching the game. At one point, was he not 2 for 12?
Yeah, that was in the first half. That was first half stats. But I don't agree with you though. I think Chris's point is much worse. Not only do you take yourself out of the game because you're tired, hold on, it's third and goal, and you have taken yourself out. Third and goal, game en reach,
That's even
and you
worse.
remove yourself. I think that is a much worse standard there than versus 2-12 going into halftime. That is way worse. Third and goal in the second half, and you have the ability to take the lead from a divisional opponent, and you removed yourself. That is way worse than his throwing stats. Because you are a leader, everyone looks up to you, and you have removed yourself from field of play because you are quote unquote tired. No, you got your rear end handed to you. You couldn't handle it anymore, and you took yourself out of play. That's what happened.
Yeah, because didn't it
Mhm.
happen right after a sack?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guarantee by the end of the season, because I don't expect him to play for the rest of the season since they're starting Joe Flacco this week. I don't expect him to stay on that team much longer. Like, that's just a bad look on him.
Yeah, the Colts are kind of just struggling with him. Like, just from like a fantasy football perspective, all of the Colts receivers did relatively well with Flacco as the quarterback. As soon as Richardson came back, they all fell off hard.
It's crazy how the Colts offense just completely does a whole 180 as soon as Richardson's in for the game. When, as you just said, Flacco's in the game, they're shooting at all cylinders. Of course, they're not the best, obviously, but still, they're doing much better than they were beforehand. So I expect them to like start shooting off again. Now that Joe Flacco's in the picture, probably for the rest of the season. But yeah, good luck finding a new team, Richardson, because I think this you've seen your last days with the Colts.
Yeah. And we also should mention that during this game, Stephon Diggs did go down. He is now out for the season. Yet another of the Texans' receivers gone. They ain't
Yeah,
got
it's
much left, at least until Nico comes back.
which thankfully is not too much longer. But still, that's rough for Texans fans. And Will can testify for that.
Yeah. But that takes care of the stuff from this past week. Moving on to this week and sticking with the Texans as the topic. Thursday night, Texans at the Jets. I don't think this should be a question.
Yeah.
Why? Why do you think it's
yeah,
not going to be
yeah,
a
hold on.
question?
Yeah, let me
Because
hear
the
this argument
Jets
first.
stink.
Even as a Texans fan, don't
The
care.
Texans are severely depleted.
Yeah, we're depleted. Nico is still out. Stephon is now out. We are still missing. I looked at the injury report. We're still missing 3 key defenders. Al-Shire being one, Jimmy Ward being one. Yeah, I don't think it's as simple as much as a Texans fan as I am, and of course I'm going to pick them. That's not going to change. I don't think it's that simple. Yes, the Jets have been playing absolutely atrocious football. I mean, they lost to the Patriots last week in a Drake May / Jacoby Brissett combo because Drake May left with a concussion. That doesn't mean anything. We are down to Tank Dell, John Mechie, who is coming back from last year, who only has 5 catches on the year. Xavier Hutchinson, who only has the same 5 or 10 catches. Dalton Schultz, thank God. We still have a veteran there, but that's a tight end. How much can you use him? It's not Kelsey. Stover slowly picking up, and a veteran Robert Woods, who doesn't see as many targets. That's yes, they're good receivers. I like all of them, but they're not Stephon and they're not Nico by any means. And Tank is just not having the season like he was last year. Even with Nico went out and he was wide receiver 2 below Diggs, hasn't been making an impact the last few weeks. So I don't think it's that simple because we barely beat the Colts by 3. We barely won the week before. Like, these games that they've won have been way too close to say indefinitely that they're going to go into, the Jets Stadium and pull out a win on Thursday night. Do I want them to? Yes. Do I think they can? They would have to play the best football of their life, missing 2 wide receiver 1s, because both Diggs and Collins are wide receiver 1s, no matter if they're on the same team or not. You're missing those key components. You're still missing key defensive components, which we see week in and week out, how it affects them. Like, it's not that simple just to say, oh, yeah, they'll win. It isn't. There's so much more to it than that, especially that O-line. We saw that last week.
What I
against the
think
Colts,
is
where
going to
were
be what
just
helps y'all out
as
in this
sacks.
is your run game. Mixon has been like the highlight so far over these past few
but
weeks.
the Jets have a solid front 4. They have a very solid front 4 on that defense. I don't think Mixon. You cannot rely just on Mixon the whole game.
No,
They're going to know
but
what to
I do have
They're
a
gonna
question
stop
for
the
you here,
run.
Will. Why do you think Tank has just kind of fallen off a bit this season?
Part of it's the O-line. Stroud has no time. He was sacked 4 times in the first half last week. They even moved people around. They set Kenyon Green because he allowed back-to-back sacks. That's where all the issues start on that offense, is the O-line. It is starting to look like one of the worst O-lines in the NFL, even with a star, quote-unquote star left tackle and Laramie Tunsil, who had 12 penalties in the first 3 games of the season. Yeah, he's cleaned it up a bit, but he still commits them at key points of the game.
Yeah. You're probably right. It could be a close game. I'm still picking Texans though. I have no faith in the Jets.
Yeah, that my problem with the Jets and what Will said, it obviously brings an interesting point to why the Texans could possibly struggle or lose to the Jets. But the Jets this season can't seem to get out of their own way. They're just not that impressive. Their defense is solid, but their offense is just. You got Aaron Rodgers, who's actually playing this year. He just doesn't look like he's all there. You got Devontae Adams from a trade with the Raiders. He's not doing much of anything. And then Garrett Wilson, who's still there, and he's not doing much of anything. It's like the Jets just don't look good on offense. And I feel like the Texans have the edge over them despite what the Texans are currently going through with a bad O line, missing receivers due to season-ending injuries, or just injuries in general. I just like the Texans better than this matchup, but I will keep it close. I think the Texans will win only by 3.
I'm taking the Jets in this matchup, as much as I hate to do it to you, Will, but you know how it is. You're missing
It's-
Nico,
I
you're
can't.
missing
I can't even be upset
Diggs.
with you. In this situation, I'm not even upset with it.
Yeah, it's just y'all are depleted, and that's really the only reason why I would take the Jets at this point. You going into MetLife, you know, definitely. Didn't y'all lose to the Jets last year in like a trap game?
I don't even know if we played the Jets last year.
Okay, maybe I'm thinking of another team. But
The
this,
Panthers. We lost to the Panthers.
yeah, I did that. This screams to me like underestimate your opponent type of game for the Texans. Even
Oh,
if
yeah.
even if they shouldn't, but I don't know. It's just the Jets are favored in this game, and I think rightfully so. They're favored by like 3 points, and I think that's pretty accurate.
3 Texans and 1 Jet for this game.
Make it 4 for the Texans.
I swear to God, I heard it again. What the heck was that?
This man's hearing ghost. Yeah, after all, it is Halloween coming up.
Well, tomorrow actually. But
Well, I said coming up, so
Yeah, coming up tomorrow.
next up, and this one I think is a safe bet to say there is no question. It's Cowboys at the Falcons.
Falcons all day.
Falcons.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Falcons.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm
I
just
wanna-
saying, Kirk Cousins is balling out after the injury that he had last year. I think a lot of people, myself included, didn't think he was going to have the year he's having being in Atlanta, but this man is just absolutely balling out as if he still was throwing to Jefferson. But I mean, he's throwing to what? Darnell Mooney, Kyle Pitts. You know, he's got Bijan. Like, this man is just having a season. Last week, 23 of 29, 276, and 4 touchdowns. That's the second time this year he's thrown for 4 touchdowns. The first time was against the Tampa Bay when he threw for 500 yards. Like, this man is just having a year for himself. And the way the Cowboys have been playing, I just
Wait.
an absolute no-brainer.
You said last week he threw for 4 touchdowns, and then the only other time was the first time. So he did it twice against Tampa Bay then.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Yeah, they played
Yeah.
Tampa Bay both games.
He's just
You're right. I just
owning,
realized that.
just taking control of Tampa Bay early.
Yeah, and I mean,
Kirk
he's
Cousins
only
is
had
Tampa
one
Bay's
game
father.
this season. Yeah, he's had one game this season under 200 yards, and that was Pittsburgh in Week 1, obviously getting adjusted, where he threw for 155. And ever since then, it's been 200 plus, and at least 1 touchdown every week. So the way Dallas is playing, I think anybody could literally walk in there and beat them, or at home or away at this point.
Yeah.
Just the way they've played.
Yeah. And man, I hate the Falcons so much, and I want to throw up in my mouth for saying this, but the Falcons just look so good right now. There's really nothing bad I can say about them because they just, like Kirk Cousins, like Will said, looks really good. He's on a hot hand right now. Their defense has improved so far this season for the most part. It's like maybe that's what Atlanta has been looking for this entire time is just a quarterback. Maybe they had the right pieces there after all. Who knows? How far will they get into playoffs, which won't be for another several weeks? We don't know. I hope they go one and done and lose embarrassingly, because that's my petty Saints fan self. But
Well, I have
Kirk
one thing
Cousins
to say for what Will was just talking about, saying that at the beginning of the year, a lot of people were saying that Kirk wasn't going to do as good, that the Falcons weren't going to be as good as people thought they were, or by people, I mean people like me and Paulo, who in our predictions episode, as we all agreed, the Falcons were the dark horse. And I think we have been proven right.
Yeah, we did pick them to be the dark horse. A lot of people did think that Kirk was going to struggle, though, just coming off the injury.
Yeah, these two
a lot
included.
Of, like, analysts and stuff. Yes, you must believe in the Kirko.
I said myself included. I don't know why you're saying that. I said myself.
I'm
I
just
mean,
saying.
injuries, new teams. The way the Falcons had played in the past. Yeah, all those pointed in the directions of a struggle first year with Kirk being there.
Yeah, and it's
I
surprising to
own what I
see.
say.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying you're not. I'm just saying. I'm just pointing that
As for
out.
me, I was just hoping that Kirk's would just suck and Atlanta would still suck, but that's obviously not happening for either case.
Your hatred
It's still
blinds
screw the
you.
Falcons for life. Still screw the Falcons for life, but I have to acknowledge that they are good this year.
Nah, everybody above the Cowboys, go Falcons, go Birds. Wait, no, it's the Eagles. Go Falcons, go Dirty Birds.
I'm like, what? But yeah, I'm picking Falcons. They're gonna stomp on the Cowboys this week. I think they win by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I'm taking them 10 points minimum.
Yeah, I'm going 14. I think it's 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, because the Cowboys, they suck so bad. Not as bad as the Saints, but that's a different topic for later. So,
Next up, we got Broncos at the Ravens. I actually kind of expect this one to be a fight. I don't think the Ravens run away with
Yeah.
this.
I mean, if the Ravens couldn't even beat the Browns, who had their third string quarterback out there, no disrespect to Jameis Winston, of course, but it's just like the the Broncos have been catching a little flame lately, and I think they could possibly give Ravens problems. Do I think the Broncos will win? No. I'm still picking Ravens. I think they win by 7, but the Broncos are gonna give them a lot of crap. I think in this matchup.
I think the Broncos are gonna give them a little bit of a challenge. Not as much as Cleveland did, but a challenge nonetheless.
Yeah.
We agree.
Yeah, I think it could be a fight. But I think that, there's no doubt in my mind that the Ravens are going to win. The Broncos have only beaten the Buccaneers this year in terms of a good team. And we kind of chalk that up to a fluke for the Buccaneers because obviously everyone thinks the Buccaneers is a good team. So, I think that they could give the Ravens a little bit of trouble, but I really don't think they have a shot to win.
It's the offense that's the question for me, because they're not, like, the Ravens defense is not going to let you run for 100+ yards like they did against the Saints. It's not going to happen.
No, of course not.
Not by a long shot. So, Will, your thoughts?
No, I agree. But so I think one thing we're skipping over is that last week was a division game.
That is
between
true.
the Ravens and the Browns. That's one thing y'all are missing that no one's brought up yet. So that game was expected to be a nail biter. I don't think anyone expected the Browns to win, but when you look deeper into it and realize that's a division game and Winston was the starter, it's like okay, that's you can see that happening. But this week with the Broncos, both teams are 5-3. The Ravens coming off of that loss to the Broncos, like that close. I agree with Paulo. The only team that the Broncos have beaten, you could possibly throw the Jets in there.
Nah, not with only 2 wins, you can't.
That game was so atrocious, though. That game was 10-9. That's how that game ended. The only team that they beat that was worth anything was Tampa Bay, and we saw afterwards that it was a fluke because how Tampa Bay continued to play afterwards. But I think it's a no-brainer. The Ravens win, and it's at home for them. They're coming off that loss. Is the defense going to give them some trouble? Yeah, because that Broncos defense has been very well these last few weeks. But like we said, against some teams that aren't so great. Now they're facing Lamar, Derrick Henry, a newly acquired Deontay Johnson. So it's like now we're giving a team that had weapons even more weapons.
Yeah.
So now we're causing more issues. So
Which, by
I
the
think
way,
it's way too easy to say.
the Panthers got fleeced on that deal.
Hey,
Yeah, for
Yeah.
real.
So it is what it is. It's Ravens easily. I see the Ravens winning by 14.
I don't know if it's going to be that much, but yeah, it is the Ravens. Next up, we got Bills Dolphins. This is in Buffalo.
Well, we're not going to make the same mistake twice.
Tua's
Once, that is.
back. The Dolphins look better, but still not great.
Yeah, which is why I'm still taking a bit. I'm taking the Bills this week. We're not making the same mistake twice that we made earlier this season, where we picked the Dolphins over the Bills, and the Bills just completely ran them over. The Dolphins are a mess. Yeah, they got Tua back, but his brain's a mess. So with that being said, the Bills just look way better as a team. I'm taking the Bills I'm going to say by 10 points.
I'm gonna take the Bills as well. It's in Buffalo. Buffalo has been looking good. They just got Tua back. You know, so you're still, getting back in the swing of things. Um, it's a Florida team going up to New York, so weather plays a factor there as well, temperature. I just, the Dolphins might do something, but I think it's probably gonna be Bills all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing they're going to do is give Tua another concussion.
No, can't agree. Concussion protocol 2 is his new nickname. He's in concussion protocol 24/7. But I agree. I mean, the Bills have just looked so good. They've acquired Amari Cooper, who they're still trying to work in. But I mean, Amari Cooper's a wide receiver 1. James Cook has been doing phenomenal for him. Thank God I picked him up. After the season he had last year, he's continued this year. Keon Coleman's going off. He's got Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid. So he's got a very killer 1-2 tight end 1 and 2 combo. So I think after last week, them losing the Dolphins losing to the Cardinals, when Paulo said they would win, he is now switching sides to the Bills.
Yeah, well,
He
it's a
saw the
lot.
Tua.
It's a lot more obvious this time around.
Yeah.
The
But I think
Cardinals
I
and
give 'em
Dolphins
that.
game was close.
but yeah, I think that it's easily the Bills in this one.
Yeah.
We're all in agreement.
Next up, and here we go. Saints at the Panthers.
I have to quickly read through this quote from Mickey Loomis that I read or listened to on WWL radio, which is the local Saints sports radio news. This is a direct quote from Mickey Loomis. This he was asked about the a play he was. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong quote. 1 second. While I'm finding it, I'm with this game coming up. I don't see us winning. Like I know the Panthers suck worse than we do, but the Saints are they're on a 6-game losing streak for a reason. Yes, injuries have played a factor, but it's that as soon as they start getting some players healthy and trickling in, it's just like nothing really has changed. So it's like even with the healthy guys, they're still losing games. So it's like, what's the point of it all at this rate? Oh, here we go. So here's what Mickey Loomis said from his podcast episode with WWL. He said, whenever you have results that don't match your expectations, you have to look at underlying reasons why, right? Look, we have answers for a lot of things. We have answers when we have players get hurt. We have answers when you lose your quarterback for a couple games. I don't know that I have answers when you have an avalanche of injuries and you lose your quarterback for a period of time. That's just difficult, and we haven't been able to overcome that, and we played some good teams too as well. we're getting some players back. That's a good sign. I think our players have played really hard. I think they're accountable. I don't see a lack of effort. I don't see a lack of want to. I don't see a lack of accountability. I'm sorry, Mickey Loomis. Are we seeing the same Saints team? I'll try to keep my rant short.
I've got to say something though with that. Hey, most of our injuries are on offense. That's apparent. But that doesn't, like, his excuse doesn't cover why Tampa Bay put up 50 something on us.
It does not. Like, it seems like he's blaming the offense for its lack of lack of consistency and efficiency. But and of course, he's also blaming the injuries as well. But it's like, well, most of them have been on offense. On defense, they're the most healthier side on the ball, and we're currently in the league as one of the worst defenses in the league. What's your excuse with that? As far as like a lack of accountability, I'm sorry, that's not on the players. That's on the coach. The coach lacks accountability, and he even goes on to mention that he's noticed that coaching is a bit off. I'm like, well, hello, we've been saying this for weeks now. Dennis Allen is a terrible coach. And he has no accountability whatsoever, no energy whatsoever. He doesn't even bother to hype up the fans, even when we took the lead in those 2-game winning streaks that we had. It's like, this team is an absolute joke.
And going to one of the points that you said there from the quote, he said we've played a couple of good teams too. Yeah, when everybody was healthy.
Mm-hmm. It's like we played a lot of healthy good teams, and most of our players were healthy at that time.
We still had Carr for the Chiefs game.
Yep, it's like are you like really trying to say Carr has been our best, like our saving grace when it comes to playing this season? Like, I don't agree with that, because even when Carr was healthy, we were still 2-3 before he went injured, and then we go on to lose 3 more games after that. It's like Carr was also not helping us win games. Of course, the O-line wasn't helping either. There's a whole
granted, we were doing better on offense with him, but the defensive problem still stands.
Exactly. So it's like, I have no hope in the Saints this season. I'm sorry. I'm just blatantly honest. I look at this Panthers game. This is not the same Saints team that I saw in Week 1, where we won 47-3, 10, something like that. It's like, this team has completely lost it. It would not surprise me if A, the Panthers win, or B, we win, because I know if we win, the whole front office and Dennis Allen himself is going to think, oh yeah, we're good. We're getting back on track. This is all we need is players healthy. No, that's not going to do it, because you just beat the crappiest team in the NFL. No, absolutely not. Like, this team is done. And when offseason comes around, when you're $17 million over the cap, good luck trying to fix that, because that, one, is going to impact future players that we need to recruit. 2, possibly have an impact of trying to sign rookie players. It's like, you are decimating this team financially and in its roster. The roster and finances are screwed for the next several years, I would imagine. This team will never be a good team for the next couple of years. I don't know how long, but I hope it's shorter than that. But until we make the right changes, this team needs to wake up and realize Mickey Loomis is the problem, and so is Dennis Allen. Get their butts out of Airline Drive right now. End of rant.
Chris
All
getting
right.
into
After
it.
that yap session, I would like to say that we're winning this game. Like, sure, the Saints aren't good. It's Carolina. They don't have Thielen. Deontay Johnson is gone. Like, you could put Dalton out there. Who's he throwing to? Leggett only? Like, just Leggett? Is Leggett gonna? Yeah. What is he gonna do? Block 2 and play defense? Like, the Panthers. I mean, they got Chuba Hubbard, they got Dalton, and they got Leggett. Like, Carr is back to practice, and they're hopeful he'll play. whether he plays or not, we've still got more. We've still got more going
Just so
for
you
us.
know, it's not Dalton playing, by the way. Bryce Young is starting.
Oh, well then why
They
is this
announced
even a
it.
question?
They announced it today that they're going to give the starting role back to Bryce Young, even though Dalton is healthy.
Okay, well look, Dalton would have been more of a challenge. Like we're not gonna slam him the way we did week 1, but I still like. You think Bryce Young's beating us? Come on. After all the schmack that's been talked in this podcast and in this group chat about Bryce Young,
Oh, I'm
no
not
way.
saying
Yeah, I
that.
was going.
I'm not saying
I
the
was going with the Saints
Panthers.
from the beginning.
I'm not saying the Panthers are going to win it. I'm saying the Saints are going to lose it.
So
Yeah,
words via words.
So the Panthers are gonna
Panthers
win.
are going to win.
Is what you're
So that's
saying.
the end of that discussion.
Uh,
My opinion is the Saints are going to win. It's the Panthers. It's Bryce Young. We know how atrocious he is. We've seen it 2 years in a row where he has been benched for his backup. They're giving him another chance for God knows what reason. You've lost wide receiver 1. You lost wide receiver 2 in Thielen. Deontay Johnson's gone. Like Paulo said, it's Leggett. Leggett he's a rookie. Yes, he's getting more work. He's slowly getting better. He's a rookie. That cannot be your wide receiver 1. It can't. He has no other help. It's Bryce Young. Once again, that's all that matters. You can put Jake Hayner in, and I guarantee y'all would win. But it's not. It's probably going to be Spencer Rattler unless Carr is healthy enough for the start.
Let me
if Carr
rephrase
starts,
here. Okay.
It's a massive win. If it's Rattler, they still win. If it's a Hayner, they win by 3.
We got to re-sign Trevor Siemian.
God. Bring back Reggie Bush to play freaking quarterback and you win.
I need to rephrase what I said earlier because, yes, the Saints have a good chance to win this game, but just because of how I know this team is played, there's a very good chance they could lose it at this point. Just doing things that the Saints do.
Pick a team.
I just said, yeah, I think the Saints are going to win, but I wouldn't be shocked. At this point.
And a minute ago, you said that they are going to lose, so make up your mind.
Again, why I said I am rephrasing. I am explaining myself.
So
here we go with the fence riding.
Well, for me, I know I just went on that massive rant. But I didn't necessarily pick my who's gonna win. I'm pretty sure the Saints will win, but at the same time, it would not surprise me if they find a new way to lose. So, but I'm taking the Saints by 3 in this matchup.
That's what I was saying, essentially. I have no faith in them whatsoever. If they win, cool. If not, I'm not surprised.
As bad as they are, the Saints win.
Anyway, moving on.
Right. Next up, we have Raiders at the Bengals. The Bengals should win it, but they've been so inconsistent.
Yeah.
Granted, the Raiders aren't great, but
I would imagine the Bengals winning this one pretty soundly, in my opinion. They just have better weapons than the Raiders. As far as defense goes, I don't know who has a more worse defense, the Raiders or the Bengals. But I'm taking Bengals in this one just solely based off of the offense, because the offense of the Bengals looks way better, and they obviously got Joe Burrow. The Raiders just look terrible on offense. There's nothing going right for them. So yeah, I'm taking Bengals by at least 7 in this matchup.
I'm taking Bengals as well. The Bengals have the potential to have a great offense. We've seen it at times, even though we didn't really last week. But the Eagles are a much better defense than the Raiders. The Raiders they don't have much. They don't have much on offense. They don't have much on defense. There's a good chance that Max Crosby won't even be there Sunday if he gets traded. But yeah,
I doubt that's going to happen, though, because they've already said they have no intentions to trade him.
Yeah, they might not, but, I mean, what's you going to do? Just waste his career?
They would.
Make him stay there while you keep losing?
They would.
At the same time, he has a say on if he wants to play or not. and he told the media he does not want to be a part of the rebuild, which is the exact direction the Raiders are trending.
Yeah.
Is in the trend of a rebuild, and he straight up told them he does not want to be a part of that.
I don't blame him.
Yep.
The Raiders suck.
But no, I agree. I think the Bengals bounce back after that loss to Philly last week. Like Paul said, Philly's defense is much more stout than the Raiders, and their quarterback situation is one of the worst in the leagues amongst a few other teams, Panthers, Tennessee. So I mean, you lost Devontae Adams. I mean, you had Turner, Dre Turner step up last week, who looked good, but I think the Bengals still find a way. Especially with Higgins, who should be back this week. Granted he was out last week, so that was one less weapon for Burrow. But I think they should win it. They might find a way to lose it, but I think that one they should win.
Well, now who's riding the fence?
No, I'm not riding the fence at all.
Give us the Bengals.
Right. That's what they all
Well,
say.
Bengals around the table, I guess. There. Chargers at the Browns.
Give me the Browns.
Call me crazy, but I could see the
You're
Browns
crazy.
winning this one.
Dude,
Wow.
that's
no,
not
yeah.
crazy to me.
For sure.
That's
No,
it's not
for
it's
sure,
not
yeah.
ridiculous to say that.
No, it's not. I mean, that's why I have done immediately was the Browns. I didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
The way Winston played last week. Yeah, the Chargers have been playing, good. Yeah, they beat a Saints team last week who we keep talking about week in and week out, injuries, not having it together.
Yeah.
But it's at home for Cleveland. Winston has made connections. I think that's easy for Cleveland. I really do. Their defense, the Chargers defense, isn't that great, but it's great enough to keep them in games. But if Winston plays like he did last week against Baltimore, I could see him going for another 3 touchdowns this week easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that too. Because, and the key thing with Winston, and this is like my biggest pet peeve with him, is that you got to remain consistent. And can Jameis Winston remain consistent in playing at that level? Which is why I'm gonna put a little faith into him this week and say the Browns beat the Chargers this time, but it's only be a low scoring game like they did with the Ravens. So I'm taking Browns by 3 in this matchup. I think under Winston, the Browns offense is going to slowly come alive. The Chargers offense is, they had a really nice day last week against the Saints, shockingly. But not shockingly, excuse me. But after watching the Chargers offense play against the Saints last week, it's like, they don't really scare me at all that much, even though they did pummel us to the ground in the end. But I like the Browns better than this matchup, so I'm taking the Browns by 3.
Yeah.
This game is kind of like a 50-50 split for me because both Chargers are definitely the safer option, but the Browns have a lot of potential if they carry over from last week. I don't know. It concerns me because the Chargers do have a pretty solid defense. There were 2 near picks last week that Winston almost threw, and the defenders just couldn't grab them. But going into this, I thought I was gonna pick the Chargers, but I think I might have to go Browns. Close game, but I think I might go Browns.
Great success.
That's 3 for the Browns. Will.
Is he alive?
What do you mean that's 3 for the Browns, brother? I already said the Browns. What are you talking? Did you not listen to me talk before everyone else? What are you talking about?
Uh-oh.
I'm hearing things, man. I swear to God.
You're
This
not
man's-
hearing things.
You're
That's
you're
the
not. You
problem.
didn't. That's I was about
That's
to
the
say.
problem is you didn't hear. I literally went first.
I don't know what's real and what's not anymore. I hear voices.
Jose's sick. Jose's hearing ghost. Call the Ghostbusters.
Call Sam Darnold so he can see him.
I forgot about that. That's
so
I don't know if it's
4
a...
for the Browns then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Commanders at the Giants. This was a close game last time when it was in Washington. Um, the Commanders have gotten significantly better since then on both sides of the ball. I don't think it's going to be the same situation, and I think the Commanders are winning by at least 7.
The Giants suck.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels just looks unstoppable at this rate. Like that first matchup against the Giants, he was probably going through some rookie growing pains. But this, now that he's 8 games into the season, I have way more faith in Jaden Daniels than I do the Giants. And while I do acknowledge the Giants probably have they have a defense that can like probably maybe slow them down, but I don't expect them to like hold them to just nothing but field goals this time around. I think Jane Daniels is going to unleash fury against that Giants defense this time around. So I'm taking Commanders by 7 in this matchup as well.
I'm taking the Commanders as well. I would not say that Jaden Daniels has looked unstoppable. He was very nearly stopped last week, and he should have been stopped last week. But
Well,
this week, the Commanders are going to take it.
Very nearly
The Giants
stopped
also have
throwing
a
326 passing yards.
See, why? It's not about the stats. They had to win off a Hail Mary. Like, who cares?
I mean,
They got
bet you
stopped in the red zone multiple times.
well, never mind. So,
Man, it's all about the stats, but he's not. I mean, stats do not tell the full story.
All right, Mickey
Will, your
Loomis.
thoughts?
He's not wrong though. You say Mickey Loomis, but stats don't tell the full story. Go back. Let's
Yeah,
go back
when
to
Mickey
that,
Loomis said
go back-
that, y'all were roasting him, but he was actually
Yeah.
right. They don't tell the full story.
They don't. Let's go back to that Baker and Patrick Mahomes game where Mahomes had better stats than Baker and Baker still won. But stats, right?
Yeah,
anyway.
I mean, look what the Lions did to Tennessee, but we can look at golf stats
Yeah,
and be like,
yeah,
those weren't good.
Exactly.
weren't.
We know the stats were atrocious.
They
Exactly.
didn't need
The
to
rest
be.
of the team carried him.
No, they didn't. He wasn't struggling. It's just that the running game was working, so they went with that. It's a team sport.
You are all idiots.
Yeah. and-
Anyway,
okay, forget it. I was gonna leave it.
I agree that the Commanders are going to win against the Giants.
Very good.
Yeah, that should be an obvious thing. I still don't see anything from the Giants that tells me they can beat really anybody. Like,
Yeah.
they have
Maybe-
nothing that
maybe
shows me
they
that they
take
can
down-
compete.
They really don't. Like Daniel Jones still stinks. The only bright shining stars I think they got is Malik Neighbors, obviously, and Slayton. What's his first name? I think it's Slayton.
Darius
Slayton, thank you. Those two look really good for the Giants. Their D line looks decent at best, but it's still not enough, especially when your offense is constantly choking up. So, but yeah, that's all I got for them.
Yeah. Next up is Patriots at the Titans. This is interesting.
I think you mean abomination.
Honestly,
I don't
this
know what
might
to do.
be. This probably be a struggle fest. Probably a very boring struggle fest. Patriots looked good last week against the Jets, but again, the Jets are not much to talk about. So it's I guess it's just one of those
Granted,
games. where
neither are the
Patriots decided to
Titans,
look
so
really good. Yeah. So, but yeah, in this matchup, I'm picking Patriots just because I think they're just a tad better than the Titans, and the Titans just look terrible. They're so terrible. Yeah, they're just terrible. That's all I got.
At this point,
there's no other.
At this point, who is the worst team in the league? Is it the Titans or is it the Panthers?
I'd still go with Panthers. Yeah, sure, the Titans looks bad, but I don't know, something about the Titans makes them look a little more competent than the Panthers, but it's not by much. It's like by a hairline much. So it's like the but in this case, like the Titans just look bad, just straight up bad, and I don't think they're gonna beat the Patriots. And if they do, great, good for them. But there's nothing on that Titans team that just screams they're gonna win. So
Yeah, it's the Patriots. The Titans got off to a good start last week and put up 2 touchdowns early. And then Calvin Ridley was over 100 yards in like the first quarter or something, but then they just fell off entirely. The Patriots looked good. You know, the Patriots just are a little bit more in the zone. Like they know what they are more than the Titans. The Titans are, you know, they started out one way and then they've just slowly fell apart.
yeah,
And there's just,
it's
there's no confidence to be had there.
not by a long shot.
Yeah.
I'm sure will agree.
Will's going to agree just
No,
because
fire.
it's the AFC South rivalry.
Yeah, fire and damnation to everyone in the AFC South. Yeah, no, I mean, they did look good. They started off very hot last week. Like you said, Calvin Ridley was at 168 yards before halftime. That's insane, So, but then they just fell apart. And then you had Drake May, who was looking good against the Jets, and then Brissett had to take over. So, and Brissett still won that game after he'd been benched for May. So, I think they're much better rounded, but not by much. I say much, but it's the Titans we're comparing them to. So, they're better rounded than the Titans are at this point. So that's an easy win for the Patriots for sure.
Yeah.
Well, next up we have
Alright.
Bears at the Cardinals, and I think this is a bounce back game for the Bears. I think their defense, if you saw at the end of the game against Washington how a few of their players were just sitting on the field staring at the big screen for a while, I think that's motivation for them to make a statement in this game.
Yeah. If I'm the coach of the Bears, I'd be replaying that moment against the Commanders this past week over and over just to like keep them motivated, just to make sure that never ever happens again, because that's like a horrible way to lose games, is by a batted ball in the air for a touchdown kind of thing. It's like it rarely happens in the NFL, but it's like a rock just sitting in your stomach, kind of painful feeling. It's like it's terrible. And I would imagine the Bears get back on their feet against the Cardinals, who have just been so inconsistent this week, or this year, that is. Like, sure, they beat the Dolphins last week in what I would call a somewhat of a shootout, but the Bears have a really good defense. I think it'll smother the Cardinals this week. So I'm taking Bears by 10 in this matchup.
I'm taking Bears as well. If the Bears can hold the Cardinals, then they can hold, or if they can hold the Commanders, they can hold the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Like the Cardinals, they just they have flashes, and then it's back to reality for like 2 weeks, and then there's some more flashes, and it's back to reality. The Bears have a solid defense. That's something that has been going on all year. The offense has potential, even though it struggled. But I mean, the Bears can put up 20 points on offense, and I think that'll be enough. I don't see the Cardinals doing that much against that Bears defense.
Yeah, same.
No.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep, I agree. I think
The
last
Bears.
week, they beat the Dolphins, but that's to his first game back. So I don't think that means really anything. Like Paulo said, you see flashes and then back to reality for him. There's just so much inconsistency from Kyler, and then Marvin Harrison Jr. as well. Like Kyler uses him 1 week, and he goes 2 touchdowns, 150 yards, and then like 2 weeks he's non-existent.
Well, I
It's
believe
like
he
they
was hurt
forget
one of
about
these
him,
weeks.
throw away that game plan. Well, I mean, it's happened all season long though. They weren't using him. And he had the game where he had 2 touchdowns and 150 yards, and then the next few weeks he was non-existent. It's like they throw that game plan away, even though they see it works. You drafted him where you drafted him, and then you just throw him away. It's like, what are we really doing here? So, but that Bears defense, seen it in person against Houston, who I think is a better team than the Cardinals for sure. I think that Bears defense will keep them wrapped up very easily. That front seven is very terrifying. Seeing it in person, seeing what they've done all season long. So that should be the easy win for them. I think it'll be a good game, but I think it'll be definitely a Bears win.
Yeah. The Bears around the table. Next up, Jaguars at Eagles.
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 It's the Eagles.
Yeah.
Whoa. Let's talk about
What?
the fact that you just like paused, like you were thinking about it. What was that?
You couldn't see the screen.
No,
You can't
sorry.
see the cam, Paulo, so you don't have the full context.
No.
I was
had the audio
staring
clip.
at y'all.
No,
I had the audio clear.
no. When I was pausing there, I was trying to find the right game. I lost up my stupid computer. Kind of reloaded itself randomly. I need a new computer, y'all.
There's no doubt in
So
my
that's why
mind
I
the Eagles,
paused.
the Eagles win this. The Jaguars have been consistently one of the worst teams in the league. They showed some promise this past week against the Packers, but they're down like
They're
two
not
receivers right
consistent
now.
enough.
Kirk is out.
Yeah. And
Brian Thomas Jr.
For the
may
year.
not play.
Gabe Davis
And-
is hurt too. He might play, but he's hurt.
Yeah, they're
on top of that,
they're
the Jaguars
hurt.
trade one of their best linemen. On top of that, the Jaguars trade one of their best linemen to Minnesota, I believe.
Who?
I don't know his name,
Campbell.
but yeah, that guy.
I forget his first name, but his last name's Campbell. They traded him. It's one of their offensive tackles.
Yeah, so like they just lost a piece on their O line, so I would imagine the Eagles just absolutely ripped him to shreds.
My
So
bad. Cam Robinson. That's who they
Oh.
traded away.
okay, gotcha. But still, Eagles all day. I could see the Eagles winning by 2 touchdowns. Honestly, the Jaguars just stand no chance against the Eagles,
Especially
not, by a long
not
shot.
injured like they are. And I already know what Will's answer is.
Fire and damnation.
Yes.
You said they did well against Green Bay. That for the most part. But then they lost to Malik Willis. Like, you're Trevor Lawrence, you got drafted when you're drafted. You're supposed to be the face of this franchise, and you lose to Malik Willis. Like, come on. Like, what are we doing here?
That's
Like,
embarrassing.
I think the few pieces of hope they do have, Brian Thomas, he has the most receiving yards out of all rookie receivers so far this year. Tank Bigsby, who is looking great week to week and slowly, in my opinion, taking that role away from ETN.
Yeah.
In the return game and in the backfield. So, but it's Eagles. The Eagles did what they did to Cincy last week. Jaguars are not going to come anywhere close to that. Like, it's going to be a very one-sided game from first quarter all the way to the last few seconds. Like, it's not going to be anything it's not going to be any fun to watch. It's just going to be like, Eagles score, Jalen Hurts 3 rushing touchdowns, Saquon 2 rushing touchdowns. Like, it's going to be very one-sided game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
So everybody is in agreement then for another pick. Next up, Lions
Yes.
at the Packers.
Lions.
Now, pending the health of Jordan Love, which he went out early in last week with a hamstring injury, I believe. So, pending how he is playing, this could be a classic NFC North showdown between the Lions and Packers. Because last season was fun to watch. Both teams split the series last season. I believe this is their first time meeting each other this year, isn't it?
Believe so.
Pretty sure it is. Yeah, this is their first time. So this might be a classic showdown because it's one divisional game. You expect it to be a classic showdown. Both teams are really good. The Lions' offense has picked up significantly. Packers' offense has been very consistent under Jordan Love. They haven't been too terrible under Malik Willis either, but he doesn't do a whole lot for them in the first place. So I say it comes down to whose defense steps up. So, but I am picking the Lions just because
They're playing
just
out of their
because I'm not
minds.
sure. Yeah, they're playing out of their minds for one, and two, I don't know how Malik Willis led Packers team is going to do this week. So and I think the Lions are going to come into Lambeau Field and take a W in this one. I say they win by 3.
I'm taking the Lions as well. Jordan Love, no Jordan Love, it doesn't matter to me. The Lions could be playing any single of the other 31 teams in the NFL this week, and I'd pick the Lions.
I don't blame you.
The Detroit Ryans.
Yes, the Detroit Lions.
Yes. I presume Will is picking Lions too, or what is he thinking?
Speak, boy.
Who can explain?
Yeah, I agree. I think even with Jordan Love, because he's not having like the year that he had last year. Like even when he is healthy, yeah, he's still he's still doing things, but he's just not having that same consistency. And it doesn't help that like Christian Watson has been in and out of the lineup. He himself has been in and out of the lineup. Like there's just so much inconsistency from last year to this year with them that it's so hard to stick with them. Like he's thrown already 1, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9 interceptions this year. When last year he threw a total of 8 or 9 for the whole season, and we're only at the halfway point. So I mean, he is having a very Jameis Winston season. 9, 8, yeah, very close to being same ratio touchdown to interception. So, and it wouldn't be any better against that defense because that defense just is very ball hawkish. They have plenty of takeaways. Like it doesn't look good for them. I think, like Paulo said, out of they could play any team this week or any future week and come away with the win just about. I think there may be 1 or 2 teams that would give them a fight and could win, but the way they're playing is a continuation of last year, which makes it look like they're going back deep into the playoffs, possibly even their Super Bowl run.
Yeah. And at this rate, I would say the Lions are probably, in my opinion, the best team in the NFC right now. Because there's like looking at the NFC, there's really no other team that really kind of comes close to the Lions. And yeah, literally there's no one else. Like I'd say the closest might be the Niners, but the Niners haven't been all that great. Then you got the Commanders right behind them. So it's like, yeah. So the Lions are the team to beat right now in the NFC, and that's a tall task to do right now because they're just firing on all cylinders. Their defense looks great, offense looks great. Even this past week when Jared Goff only threw 86 yards, he still didn't have to do a whole lot. So it's like, yeah, what can you do to stop the Lions? So it'll be an
Yeah.
interesting matchup to see.
I'd go a step further and say the Lions are the best team in the whole NFL right now. I mean, who do we think, if they played right now, who do we think's beating them? You could make an argument for the Chiefs because they're the only undefeated team, but the Chiefs have looked vulnerable. Mahomes has been throwing more picks than he should.
One
Yeah.
And the
each
Chiefs
game at
haven't been
least.
tested by, yeah, and they haven't been tested by a good team since the beginning of the season. So we have yet to see like what the Chiefs look like against a top team right now.
Yeah.
That is very true.
Oh, Lions
Anyway,
are on the
moving
board.
on.
Next up, Rams at Seahawks. Try to get through these last 3 quick because we're over an hour.
Since when do we care about being over an hour?
Hey, we're trying to keep them
When
shorter,
have we ever
man.
not been over an hour?
We're trying to keep them shorter. We don't want no 2-hour video again.
Simple answer is the Rams. The Rams are beating the Seahawks.
Are they?
Yes.
Can we say that with certainty?
Yes.
Really?
The Rams beat the
Explain.
Vikings last week. Yes,
They
we'll go back
did,
to the last
but
play of the game. You got Cooper Cup back. Now it's going to be week 2 of Cooper Cup, Puka, Kyron Williams. Like, the only other thing they're missing, if you wanted to throw in another weapon, would be Tyler Higbee. Like, but they're back to what they were. I see this not 100% to where they were, but I think enough to beat. You beat the Vikings last week, you're beating the Seahawks this week. Like, that's just my opinion.
that feels like a big jump Like
Nope.
they played good last week,
You
but
think the
it's
Seahawks are better than the Vikings?
not necessarily. But I
Then
think it's
how is it?
about
How is it a big?
matchups.
How is it
It's
a
a
big jump
divisional
then?
thing, like you always say. So
Also, we
I'm
still don't know
definitely
if
not
DK is
confident.
playing. DK is still possibly sitting this game out.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
what the
The
status
offense.
is.
I gotta go Rams. I gotta agree with Will here.
I will also pick the Rams because of the DK injury, but I'm not saying that like I'm not confident that the Rams are gonna like do it. Like it's a little bit closer for me. Like it could go either way, but I'll take the Rams.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Rams as well, but I kind of flirted the idea of taking Seahawks, but due to DK's injury status, I don't know if I want to trust the Seahawks in this matchup. And also, it's a divisional game. It could go either way. The Seahawks could end up taking it, but I think the Rams are a little bit more built structurally on offense than the Seahawks. So I'm taking Rams by at least 7 in this matchup.
Yeah. All right. Next up, Sunday night football. Colts Vikings.
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 Damnation and fire to the Colts.
Here we go again.
Yes, they're starting. Always, every time. Yes, they're starting Flacco. I think that gives them a higher probability to win, but it's still the Colts. And we've seen how Minnesota has played. Like, yes, you know, Flacco gets the balls to the receivers. He's much better in the pocket. But the Vikings and that defense and that even the offense is just a much well-rounded team.
The Colts also might be without Josh Downs, as I believe he missed today's practice with an injury. So, no clue if he's going to play or not.
Yeah. So, and I mean the Vikings. So yes, the Colts have Jonathan Taylor back. We saw it last week, but that Vikings defense does not allow a lot of run yards, and we saw that when Joe Mixon ran against them. So, it's Vikings clear front runner.
Yeah, Vikings
Yeah.
should put
Vikings.
the hammer down. The starting Flacco is definitely a step up, but it's like starting Dalton for the Panthers. Like it doesn't necessarily make them like a big threat or anything. It just means they're better. Flacco still lost to the Jaguars, so
They're still more of a
agreed.
threat in the AFC South than any of the other two teams.
By far.
All right, last game of the
Vikings
week.
around the board.
Last game of the week, Monday Night Football. Buccaneers at the Chiefs. I assume they're still missing a bunch of receivers at this point.
Yeah,
Godwin's
Mike Evans
gone.
out.
Mike
Yeah, I
Evans
know
won't be
he's
back
gone, but
yet.
Mike Evans not back until week 11.
Do it.
eh,
You know you want to.
Yeah,
But
it's
you know
not
what?
even good.
You know what? I don't even care. Baker about to hand them their first loss of the season.
Oh my
I'm
god.
going.
I
I'm going.
can't.
I'm
No,
gonna-
I can't.
I'm gonna stick strong to Baker. He's gonna hand them their first loss of the season.
Is he
I
gonna
got
catch
you.
the ball too?
He is. You just don't understand the Baker magic.
Gonna
He got no
flicker it
faith.
to himself and then throw
Yeah,
it to
He
himself?
got no faith. Philly special, 20 times a game. It's happening.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, Will.
I'll
I
be the
can't.
stand. I don't care. I'm standing my ground on this one.
You
You know what?
can't.
We'll talk crap about the Chiefs every week. Blank the Chiefs, blah, 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 blah. And now they're playing a team that could beat them. And y'all like,
No.
well,
No, because if we were talking about a team
No.
that actually could beat them, I'd pick them.
Yeah.
I'm standing my ground. I don't care.
We're talking about Baker, Sterling
I'm talking about
Shepard,
Baker.
and like a pretty good run game.
Yep.
And that's not going to be enough.
It is going to be
No.
enough.
It's
Yeah,
not.
that Chiefs defense is nothing to mess around. Like I've been saying all season. Like they have a pretty stout defense. Their offense is hit or miss. Patrick Mahomes has been playing a lot, throwing a lot more interceptions than usual. So, but it doesn't even seem to matter. Like even if he throws like 5 interceptions, they still find a way to win the game. So it's like,
Don't fight it, you know that.
yes, that.
The Bucks would need a lot of lucky breaks to pull this off, more than they're gonna get. the
Don't worry about it.
Buccaneers,
I'm working on something.
we saw with this exact team, with this roster, with the injured wide receiver core and everything, we saw what it looked like against Atlanta, and it couldn't beat Atlanta, so it's not going to beat Kansas City.
Yeah, not by a long shot. I agree.
Stranger things have happened.
Do it.
I guess Will's got to consult his magic potions or whatever he does.
Don't worry about what I'm doing.
You want to hear something crazy?
Oh no! Don't tell me.
I got a little voice in my head right now telling me to go with Will.
Oh, so quick! Someone
Yes,
get
sir.
Ghostbusters.
This is,
I don't know
this
about
is insane.
Ghostbusters for this problem.
Of all the times that y'all have thought I was crazy for going off on my own and picking a team that y'all didn't pick,
I
this
got
is
a weird
gonna-
feeling
Chris,
about this one
Chris,
for
this
some
might
reason.
be the worst one.
No,
I
it was
agree.
definitely the worst one.
Oh yeah, and I'm most likely gonna be wrong, but you know what? I'm picking the Bucks. I'm gonna
Alright,
pick the
this is
Bucks.
perfect
Me and
time.
You.
This is the perfect time. What bet are we making?
Come
Oh
on, throw
my
it out.
God.
What is it? Throw it down.
I don't know. I don't
Throw
know.
it
I don't
down.
see y'all that often. So what are we
Oh,
gonna
this-
do?
This ought to be good.
Uh,
I'll buy you dinner at what's that place in Alabama that we're going to next week, Chris?
Oh,
Or next year, Chris?
what?
Lambert's. Lambert's.
Lambert. I'll buy you
This
dinner
is-
at
All right.
Lambert.
This is a far away hypothetical.
Nope.
Because what
No,
if
it's
we
not.
just?
Or
How
better yet,
expensive? How expensive is Lambert's before I agree to this?
it's actually not expensive. It's like at average maybe $15 a plate.
Okay, we making this bet?
Hey, I'm down.
Okay.
This between you
Wait,
two. This between
wait.
you two.
Can you guys pummel each other with rolls?
I mean, we could. We were gonna do that anyway, though.
Yeah, that was happening.
Yeah, one of y'all is about to get
Yay.
kicked out of there for hitting the other one with a roll.
All right.
Alright,
It's a
we
deal.
have our
Someone
first bet of the
remember this.
season. I shall
I
write it
will
down.
make sure it is clipped. Well,
Incoming podcast from Alabama next year. Be on the lookout.
we would not be
yes.
doing one in May.
Yes, we would. That's
We
the draft.
will. We
Huh?
could. We could do
Actually-
the draft on the beach.
You're actually not wrong. When is the draft?
We could do-
Exactly.
We could do the live recording of the podcast on the beach.
Sipping
Yes.
mimosa.
Pull out. We could do the fold-out
Yes.
chairs and have it.
I don't
record.
think that would work, but
It would.
I would love it.
well,
Mm.
before we do end this one, I have to say something from this past week. Congratulations to Will's Aggies for beating
Yeah,
LSU and
boy.
taking first place in the E SEC.
Gig 'em,
Yeah,
baby.
Better than us.
Yeah, I think A&M is going to be a contender. They should be a playoff team this year, if nothing else.
I'd be shocked if they get left out, which I highly doubt this rate.
And if
Yeah,
I'm
also
being
just-
Next
kinda-
4 games are gonna matter.
honest, I expect the SEC championship to be either A&M and UT or A&M and Georgia.
Oh no, God.
That's what I'm
Yeah, good
expecting
luck
at
with
this
that.
point.
I appreciate the hope and enthusiasm, brother, but I'm not sure about that myself.
Who does Texas A&M have it for the rest of their schedule?
South Carolina this week. We have UT Thanksgiving week, and I forget the other two. The other two are wins, but my concern is UT at the end of the year and possibly South Carolina this weekend.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
You're
is a
right to
night
be
game
worried
for
about
us.
South Carolina.
I'd be more worried about Texas because that's an old rivalry about to rekindle this season, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, those two schools go way back. Just
Just
like Ole
remember
Miss
to
and
put up the
Mississippi
nets so they don't start throwing trash.
State.
But I think I'm not too bummed about LSU losing. They played sloppy, especially on offense. Nussmeier was trying to force things way more than he should have, and it came back to bite him. I just hope they're on bye week this week. I hope they take that time, try and sort things out, because their next game on November 9th is Alabama.
Good
So-
luck. But I mean, if we're being honest, Alabama isn't all that great this season. They already have 2 losses, so LSU could
I
go toe to
expect
toe
this
with
to be a
them.
good game because it's going to be
Yeah,
here in Baton Rouge, in Death Valley, at night.
yeah, and personally, I hope LSU wins because nothing would please me more than to see Alabama have 3 losses for the first time in God knows how long.
Around the bowl and down the hole, the fans start crying.
Roll
Roll,
Tide,
tears, roll.
Ah,
Eh, well, until next week, happy Halloween.
happy Halloween, y'all.